Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me now? Hello? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yes, I had it full screen, couldn't see you. Thank you for your patience. We'll get back to the regularly scheduled program here. Um, David, don't put this part up on YouTube, okay? All right, back to the top. Yeah, I can't see the chat box, so guys, just hang tight. Feel free to share some comments, and once we're done with that, I'll try and save some time for answering questions. I'll have to breeze through now, and we'll try and get all this done in 45 minutes. Does that sound good? All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your patience. All right, let's get this show on the road. Okay, so my name is Jason Ambler. Hopefully you can hear me now. My name is Jason Ambler. I'm the VP of Digital Media and Executive Producer for Falcon's Creative Group. My topic today is the X Factor, harnessing digital experiences. There's a few things that we'll be talking about in this area. One is how this applies to the experience economy in the Orlando area. Two, the trends in digital experiences. And three, some of the design techniques you should consider if you are building a digital experience, and hopefully may inspire you to think about how these could apply to your craft. So getting going here, before I get started, everybody can see and hear what we're doing, right? I'm checking on the chat right now. Okay, great. We're back to it. I won't be paranoid anymore, okay? So to tell you a little bit about myself and my background, Falcons was founded in the year 2000. Our owner came from Universal Creative. And from these theme parks, we've seen now a lot of new companies come into form. We started in 2000. First project was the renovation of Spaceship Earth here at Epcot. Since then, we've done some amazing projects. We were doing a lot of media-based attractions is really what we're known for. But we do have design. We're doing design work and media work here all in one studio. I joined in 2012, shortly after Turtle Trek debuted at SeaWorld Orlando, which is the 3D Dome film and attraction there. And since then, we've done some amazing work. Worked on the world's largest indoor theme park in Dubai, IMG Worlds of Adventure. Another local project for Kennedy Space Center. We did the entire renovation and Heroes and Legends exhibition there, as well as the Astronaut Hall of Fame that's located at Kennedy Space Center. We've done projects for National Geographic. We did Ocean Encounter in Times Square. We did Hunger Games Theme Park Land in Dubai, Atlantis Hotel in China. And since then, we've done a lot of really cool work, more work with National Geographic. And last year in July, we opened up another attraction here locally in Orlando, which was the Halo Outpost Discovery, which incorporated a lot of digital experiences as well, and then went on tour throughout the country. I'll keep moving fast here. So Orlando, we're known for a lot of things. We've been a very fast-growing community. Our economy is really tied very much so to our theme parks, our experiences, and our tourism. And a lot of that is driven by creating new experiences, new excitement, and it's going to keep people coming back again and again. It's one of the things that really makes Orlando a unique destination is all the great family entertainment offerings here. And you're seeing more and more of those offerings going into the digital route, whether it be, at the theme park level, but also, you have Top Golf, which is taking golf and making it a digital, so much so a digital experience. You have these smaller location-based entertainment offerings like Dave & Buster's, Andretti's, et cetera, that are now appealing to more and more people. And the Void, it's Disney Springs. So we're seeing a lot of these new digital experiences finding their way into Orlando. And in turn, it's creating a whole experience economy here for people that are designing and building and creating these awesome experiences. So Orlando is known for tourism, as I mentioned, and we have top theme parks in the world and beyond. I mean, we have not only Disney and Universal, we have SeaWorld, Legoland, Kennedy Space Center, as I mentioned, even Gatorland, and some of these other entertainment offerings that makes Orlando really very special. You know, Restaurant Row and all these things are driven by our tourism and experience economy. You know, last year we broke another record. We have, you know, the highest visitation out of any city in the United States. 75 million people visited Orlando in 2019. Obviously, it's a little bit different in the year 2020, but you know, we are looking ahead and eventually getting back to a state of normalcy where we should continue to see that growth. And you know, all we can do is kind of, you know, be building towards that, and while we're kind of in a sabbatical period for travel and tourism here. We can continue now to kind of take a step back and figure out how we can offer new people to come back. So these visitors, they spend over $90 million a day in Orlando. And so that's a huge boost to our economy, and something that we can continue to lean in on and embrace moving forward. And these are just a few of the companies that are here in the Orlando area or have offices here in Orlando that are part of the experience economy, that are designing digital experiences, whether they be on hardware or software side, for themed entertainment. And because of the parks being here as well, and we have a big convention here called IAAPA, which I'll talk to next, Orlando has become the mecca for the experience economy, and a place that everybody is really drawn to. So IAAPA is an organization that it's kind of an umbrella organization that covers everything under amusement and attractions. The IAAPA stands for International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, for those of you that haven't heard of that acronym. And they host the largest convention, which happens to be here at Orange County Convention Center in the country. And it takes over not only the entire convention floor, and those of you that have ever been there know how big and massive that space is, but it also spills out into the parking lot with roller coasters and all sorts of craziness. But it is a massive event. And up until a few years ago, IAAPA did not have their headquarters here in Orlando. They recently relocated their headquarters. That's the building you're seeing in the upper right and lower, or the upper left and lower right. That is the new IAAPA headquarters, since they relocated here 2 years ago. We also have, you know, part of this economy is also all of the education programs that have now geared their programs to focus on digital arts, themed entertainment, and really fitting very nicely into this experience economy of companies that are here in the Orlando area. So you have Dave School, which is on the back lot of Universal Studios. UCF has FIA, which is its emerging entertainment and arts program, digital arts, and Orange Technical College is also in the Orlando area, and of course Full Sail Studios. These are just a lot of schools in the Orlando area are really embracing these technology trends and themes because they fit so nicely into what we're doing here. And really, there aren't that many places in the country that have this level of focus and this level of graduates coming out with this type of degree. We're really very specialized in that way, and it's something that we can continue to lean in on and build, and have Orlando be a hub for this type of digital experience work. Also, just to quickly add to that, UCF has just started their MFA program, specifically targeting themed experiences. So that just started, I believe, this year, and is focused on themed entertainment in particular. So these are our offices here in Orlando. We're located in Metro West off Hiawassee Road. We're about 5 minutes from Universal Studios, and you know, we're part design firm doing AutoCAD and you know, concept art and physical sets, and part digital studio doing you know, content for rides and attractions, but we also do, you know, visual effects, animation, and games, and software development as well. So quite diverse here, and really kind of honing in on the the new digital trends that are going in to the themed entertainment. So recently just announced our X Lab, which is our new kind of showroom, so to speak, but it's really a place where it's grown organically. It's been our kind of hacker space, our laboratory, our R&D skunkworks area, and we've continued to develop and refine new technologies, new projection techniques. We have AR, VR, those are pretty standard, but now we're looking at how do you create, mass multiplayer games? How do you use body, gesture, computer vision to drive a lot of your experience instead of having to game on a controller? What if we could use our entire bodies and even have the content react to us as if it was VR? But everything that we're doing is always focused on this location-based entertainment, out-of-home entertainment sector. So we're not looking to create the next consumer product to compete with Oculus. We're really looking at how these technologies can adapt and apply to a different medium. So today I want to talk about the trends in digital experiences now that we've kind of talked a little bit about how Orlando plays a role, and see where these things are percolating through the technology sector and how they may apply to location-based and out-of-home entertainment. Today I want to talk about extended reality, gamification, artificial intelligence, computer vision, and big data, and really how these apply to our field and how you can see these and experience these potentially, and as well as some examples. So starting with extended reality, XR, I know a lot of you probably watching this are familiar with this, so I'll move a little bit more quickly through this section. XR, which stands for extended reality, really is all-encompassing of AR, VR, and MR, which is mixed reality, augmented reality, and virtual reality. But it's also a little bit more than that, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So, we all think about Minority Report being, oh man, that was so futuristic. Well, we're here. This is essentially MR, right? What he's doing with his gesture is MR. And as a matter of fact, now we've gotten to a point where you don't need to wear gloves to, control an environment. Just understanding with depth cameras, it'll understand your hands without having to wear anything, which is great. So I'll show you some examples of that. One is a project we did here for Orlando called Immerse, which is a big event that's held every year here in Orlando. We did this for Immerse, I believe, in 2017, and since then, the Creative City Project has, repurposed and reused this experience for various other events in the Orlando area. And if you've ever made it out there, you may have seen this. It was very, very popular, and one of the things that we noticed was that people loved taking photos. It became a selfie background as well as an interactive playground for people to, jump up and get excited. You can see here everyone's kind of dancing and having fun. I have a short video on this that explains it a little bit more detail. So I'll let that play.
So we created this project for Immerse, and we hope it's really inspiring for people of all ages. It's meant to boost creativity and fun, and we made it for Orlando Health. It's sponsored by them, based on the art of athleticism.
It allows 6 guests to interact with color, light, and each other using gesture motion tracking technology, and it's all tracked in real time.
All right, so that's about it. Then here's another example of using MR, just using your hand tracking with Elite Motion to create an interactive experience that doesn't have any control input whatsoever. And it has a very high fidelity representation with very low latency of your hands and what you can do with that. So this is a quick demo we put together for what MR could do in a game engine. So before I move on, I just want to quickly check back into the chat. Can you guys hear? Oh, now I don't have slides. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is a bit of a mess here. So hopefully you guys can hear me. At least we can walk through some of the things that we talked about. But now you can see slides. Okay. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's hard without seeing the poll here or the chat. What's going on? So bear with me. But I think you guys got the kind of lay of the land. Hopefully, just my voice was interesting enough. I'll quickly jump back to Immerse so you guys can see some visuals here. This is an experience that we developed for Orlando. So this was all gesture based. We also did our hand tracking here using the lead motion. I'm going to move ahead. So we also created a new way to experience VR. When we were looking at doing a VR attraction, we knew that there were a lot of complications. So what we had done was, the way we thought of it, like 3D glasses, how 3D glasses, you pick them up and then when you're done, you throw them in a bin and you wash them. We thought, why can't we do that with our headsets? So that way we can come up with a hygienic way of getting people on a VR attraction. So with magnets, we separated the display from the head mount and created our own VR headset where we were able to get over 1,000 people through this VR simulator attraction per hour. You can also use virtual reality in other ways. You can think of it outside of a headset. So for this, this is an immersive theater at the National Geographic headquarters. We took virtual reality camera and went out and filmed 360 3D content, and then reprojected it onto a screen to create something that felt very immersive, but it didn't require a headset. And then we'll talk a little bit about AR. AR really means a lot of things. People talk about Snapchat and what you can do on your phone, but it's really more than that too. And the power of AR is just kind of now getting tapped into. You're hearing about Apple and Google mapping entire cities so that way they can create a communal AR experience. This was something that Snapchat had put together in London, where people can see each other splattering paint on the walls on, I think, Canary Row. Then in Orlando as well, we have Brand XR. So these guys are based in our Orlando game space downtown, and they created an AR experience with their mural, where through the app you can actually see what's going on. And then also there was projection mapping, which is another form of AR, taking content and putting it into a physical environment that interacts. So that was Orlando Game Space, and actually one of our team members did all the projection mapping, but it accompanied with an AR app. So you can see there are other companies and other organizations here in Orlando that are really diving into the opportunities here and creating new marketing platforms for brands all over the world to tap into, and it's helping us become more and more of an epicenter for this type of work. Obviously, Digital Orlando. Thank you, David, for putting this on and for dealing with my technical difficulties. I should be better than this, but I'm dealing with one screen here. Digital Orlando, Orlando IX, all these great programs here are really helping to facilitate these new ways of thinking and keeping Orlando technology together. So this is an AR experience we developed using VR technology. Going back to the slides here, for Brevard Zoo, which is in Melbourne, it's not too far away from here, but we actually used Vive 3D tracking to get the solve for the AR simulation. The reason why we used Vives is because it was an outdoor environment. We couldn't really rely on optical tracking like we have on our phones. So we had to find something that would work in any environment, work through reflection on glass, rain or shine, day or night, and always stick to its environment the way it needed to stick. So we created this really awesome AR experience for them that they are now using at Brevard Zoo. So you can go check it out just a few hours away.
Brevard Zoo, we're a young zoo in Melbourne, Florida.
We're here with our Paku Aquarium.
These are the
AR
guys setting
project,
up the
augmented
project.
reality.
You can kind of see.
Having an AR experience was a really interesting endeavor. The challenge that we actually have as a zoo is we want families to connect with nature. And this is our way to, instead
I don't
of
know if you
talking
guys
at
can
them,
hear the
we
audio,
actually get to
but-
visually see it.
Not missing much.
This was a very interesting project. It was very fun to do. It was really nice working with real life elements and combining the virtual world and the real world.
Inside the tank, they're moving and living, and we can select different facts that pertain to each scene and kind of what's happening within each scene.
We had to find ways to calibrate the system to the actual real world and also create just the actual art of the water and the fish swimming and eating seeds.
We have lots of different ideas, and we definitely think you guys can understand it and actually make it happen for us.
So in a lot of ways, that was kind of a beta test of what we can now think about when we go to a zoo. We can see and experience natural events in these exhibits as if they were, happening right in front of us. Things that would be just, financially challenging to show a flooding event happening, and really not something you would want to put animals through, but something you can do digitally. And, we've been now working on a lot of digital aquariums and digital zoo projects that are also, playing to being more humane and, in the long run, being more cost effective, as there's a lot less upkeep and liability involved. So going back to AR, in 2018, we had been developing our own AR headset. We're beta testers for HoloLens, Microsoft's first HoloLens. We had seen Magic Leap was still announcing. They hadn't released Magic Leap 1 yet. And we wanted to think about how we could use these AR headsets in a location-based environment, whether it be a museum, aquarium, zoo, etc., where people would go and explore and get to see, fun facts and content pop up and continue the story further. Well, what we found was a lot of these products were consumer facing, meaning they had a lot of buttons and calibrations and things that made it very difficult for you to switch it from one user to the next without a lot of friction in that kind of process. So we wanted to come up with an AR headset solution that would be simple, elegant, work for kind of all head shapes and sizes, and IPD, interpupillary distances, and something that wouldn't have any buttons that could be dropped and not be damaged, that wouldn't gather sweat on the foam layers. So we were looking for a product that was out there. There wasn't anything that existed, so we had invented our own product called Falcon's Vision. And a year later, we actually installed our first version of Falcon's Vision in National Geographic for a exhibition on Jane Goodall, where people could pick up the binoculars and see virtual chimpanzees in an environment. It was really cool, really successful, and the best part is that it just worked, and it was very low maintenance for the operator, which is really important. As a matter of fact, in the exhibit before this, they had set up VR stations for people to go experience, and they had to swap out the VR headsets every month because they were getting damaged and beat up. We had this running for 9 months and never had any issues with any of the units. I mean, they stood the test of time, and that was the ultimate goal, is to make an AR experience that would be user friendly for anybody to pick up and engage. And with that, a lot of people may not have experienced AR before, so we took a lot of responsibility in knowing that as their first point of engagement, we had to really impress them and show them the power of AR. So we did things in the headset, like using your gaze and to select different things and create an interactive experience within the headset. The headset also had stereo audio that came out through channels into your ears, so you didn't have to put on headphones. And it also has haptics in the headset as well. So if a chimpanzee bangs on the ground, you can feel it in your headset. So all really cool stuff. We were really happy that it had opened. We look forward to seeing it back out there once COVID restrictions start to ease and we can all get back to museums and experiences. So that's AR, and now we hear about XR, right? Mandalorian came out last year, and everyone's talking about the XR stage. And I can tell you, from our world, we're getting more and more people talking about XR and virtual production, which is what they did for this show. And we've even done some virtual production projects within the last year as well. And we have a few now in the queue that we're working on that are going to be coming out soon. So virtual production really is the next evolution of XR, and using all these different technologies to create a new platform for filmmaking and for storytelling. A good example is the new Born experience, stunt show experience at Universal, which is using a lot of this type of XR and coordination to create something that's kind of melding digital and physical worlds together. Really cool stuff, and certainly something you can take from filmmaking and bring into a live application and make it still very interesting for people to engage with at a visitor or guest level, someone that's not an expert. So this is actually an event that we put together in virtual production, where this is the trailer for the league. It's actually full combat karate, and they shot it using motion track cameras, and then everything was composited in the background with Unreal Engine, doing it all in real time. And it came out pretty cool. If you guys want to check out some of the fights and what they have going on here, you can go to karate.com. I don't know how they got that URL, but it's karate.com, and you can see a lot of their different full-length fights there using this technology for virtual production. So another great announcement that came out this year, the League of Legends guys that are in the game, they've been doing XR now for the last few years for their Worlds event that they put on every year. And these guys are really revolutionary. This is their 2020 event. Because they were limiting attendance and guests, they created their own XR stage where they took an LED screen and wrapped it in a U shape, and you can see all the lighting and scaffolding above. And then they actually took all of that LED set and did a set extension above that to actually create a full entire world around it. And that's all being done in XR in real time, and then pushed out to cameras that are all motion tracked. So what you get is something that looks like this, where you're combining an LED screen backdrop with real-time set extension beyond that point. And it came out pretty awesome. There's a whole video and backstory on this. Again, this is the League of Legends Worlds event that they just put out for the year 2020. Really cool stuff. So that's a little bit about XR. Next trend I want to talk about is gamification. Gamification in experiences. And what we've seen is, you're trying to harness the core tenets of games. Obviously, you can't have someone go to an out-of-home experience and have them play for 20, 30, 40 hours like they do on campaigns or multiplayers at home. So what you have to do is kind of break down the core tenets of what the experience needs to be, and create a repeatability factor, and create a goal, have them learn something along the way, have them use skill and sharpen their skill, give them achievements, give them rewards, whether that be digital or physical rewards, and give them a place to engage and create their own avatar and build upon itself. A good example that I like to use a lot is Test Track was really innovative for its time here, in Epcot. And what Test Track did really well is you got to create your own car and test it out and see how it performed. The problem with Test Track is once you're done with Test Track and you leave, you have to hand in your card, and your car is gone. You have to redo it all over again. There's no building on that experience. And that's something that I see really being a big trend, is having some persistence of your game experience that you continue to build upon as you go back again and again. So, Disney parks have, released their Play app, which has been really successful, honestly, for them. Surprisingly, that they get a lot of activity through here. And, if Disney's doing it, it must be something worth looking at. So it's definitely, they have a lot of different factors here, but one of the things that I think you can build upon here is having profiles and having that same multiplayer experience you get from a lot of the games out there, but create opportunities within your venue to connect with people. Another example I like to use is Pokemon Go, which was so popular, got a lot of people out of the house and in parks and on dark alleys and things like that. But you can imagine, if they had Pokemon Go, but then you had a training center or something where you could actually go and take your game experience and enhance it further or connect with other people in an actual location that's dedicated to that, and maybe even have little training experiences where you can level up your characters and whatnot. So those are really interesting opportunities that I see this tying in with locations and with mobile and with the persistence of the gaming experience. So, we've done some gaming experiences. This is Chimpanzee Chat, also at the Jane experience, where we used a lot of the same goals of reward and achievement and, creating chapters and unlocking competition to have people actually interact with virtual chimps on a screen running in real time. And then we also have done a lot of these types of experience. This is at National Geographic Encounter. And again, a lot of the same principles, having some kind of way to calculate score and compare against your friends or, family members. That's a really important factor when we're talking about gamification, is there's always a level of competition there of like, oh, I did better than you, or let me try again, I'll do better next time. And really what I see is in the future, we're all going to be going into these venues with our own identity and our own avatar and our own profile that then we take and we go from experience to experience and continue to build upon. So that's something that I know we're working on in-house here, and something that I think we will see within the next few years in location-based entertainment. Next, I want to talk about artificial intelligence. I'm checking the time. I got 15 minutes here, so I'll keep moving fast here. Artificial intelligence for location-based entertainment. There's really two ways to think about it. There's strong AI, which is, it's got cognitive abilities. It's got machine learning. It's got a lot of expensive hardware. And then there's a lot of expensive software and development and algorithms involved. And then there's weak AI, which is more narrow. And I think really we have to start with the weak AI first in themed entertainment, location-based entertainment, before we can make our way into strong AI. We're still at the very early stages. We're not a software company like Google or Facebook that is really applying heavy algorithms to what we're doing. But certainly as we are building out digital experiences and we're collecting more and more data, there's a case to then apply a stronger AI filter to it. But really weak AI can still be very powerful in experiences, and I'll show you some examples here. Well, for one, most of us now, we all have some kind of voice assistant in our house, or if we don't have one, it's probably because we're paranoid about it, not because we, for any other reason. But this is a form of AI, and it's actually getting more and more advanced as they continue to get more and more data sets back. But you can see that manifests itself into location-based entertainment as well, how you can interact with something and it can respond to you. This is another great example where this is at the Dali Museum just in St. Petersburg, an hour and a half away, where they took stills of Dali and photographs of him, and then you basically created a deep fake Dali that is an AI that interacts with you and has multiple responses and features. So I do want to play this video for you for Dali.
For 30 years, we're using
hear
artificial
intelligence
to bring it back today. In order to
you can
actually
see what
train
they're
this
doing
AI
here.
to reproduce,
I'm going to turn off the
Dali.
audio and just kind of talk through it a little bit. So they took all this old footage with Salvador Dali, and then they created a series of data with images of how he responded and reacted. And then they basically did a face swap with him to create his performance on screen. And that is the recreation of Salvador Dali. And then guests get a chance to interact with him. And I'm going to jump quickly to the end where he'll pull out a phone and take a picture with you. And so now we're talking about AI and a little bit of augmented reality involved too. And you can get your pictures taken with Dali, and then it gets sent to your mobile phone. All really cool stuff. Definitely a trend I see continuing where you can interact with digital characters in a new way through AI. Another simpler form of that can be found at the Akron Art Museum, where they created their own chatbot that you can actually talk to, and it will respond to you and tell you wayfinding, tell you about different paintings and different things in the exhibit. So this is Dot, their chatbot at Akron Museum of Art, or Art Museum. And it's really just a way to engage with people differently and have them have a personalized experience. Nowadays, when we get customer service reps on a lot of these chats, they're all bots. We think they're people, but they're not. And these bots can be super helpful and give you a nice personalized experience that can really add to the overall flavor of what you're learning about. It's like having your own personal tour guide with you that you can kind of react and act with. So really cool stuff that they're doing in the museum space. Next, I do want to talk about computer vision. Computer vision is, we know it and kind of imagine it as something like this. We hear about it in cars and automotive industry. We're starting to see it in other fields as well. And really where I see this applying to location-based entertainment is being able to identify people in a crowd or in a group and create interactive experiences with those people. But also, in a way, you can use this in zoos and aquariums to identify different animals or even specific animals by name. And this is the rudimentary kind of base level, but you can apply a level of design to this where, let's say you want to learn more about Joya the chimpanzee. You can click on Joya and it's going to tell you her whole life story. It maybe has videos and things about her. So when you're looking at these animal enclosures, you can actually learn about the individuals behind the glass, which I think is really fascinating. I know I'm always going to the aquarium looking at what kind of fish is that? I can't figure it out, or I'm guessing, and I really don't know for certain. This now gives you that level of certainty about, what kind of fish is that? What does it eat? Even if you have identifying features, you can give that fish a name, and you learn more about it that way. So next, I do want to talk a little bit about big data and how I see it being used in parks and experiences. And really what's great about everything I just talked about is the more digital touch points you have, whether they be kiosk or installations or via mobile, you can collect data from all of that. And by collecting that data, operators can now target their experiences and what people are wanting out of those experiences, and also kind of generate a heat map for what's going on. But you can also use big data for art. So this is an art installation that's using big data and a little bit of projection mapping type approach to create something that looks like a dimensional volume, but really this is just all flat screen that's taking data and doing a procedural generation of that data and visualizing it differently and how beautiful it can be. But we've used data in Nat Geo Encounter to create a social wall where we had people use a hashtag. We aggregated that hashtag and created a filtering system, filtered out keywords, and actually created even a moderating system for photographs if that could be automated or manually operated. But it's an entire ecosystem where people can post their photos, and if you see that world map, those are actually photos using the hashtag. And then you can see on the smaller ones, we're pulling from Twitter and Instagram people's photos and their hashtags. So they can get a chance to see, their information on the screen and also see what other people are saying. It creates a great sense of community, and it's harnessing the power of data and things that are out there in the internet to target it. And really, that's the key. Is collecting the data is one thing, but then you have to figure out how you're going to hone that into something that becomes usable for people, something that's clean and easy to understand and you can track. So this is an example of some data you could get from a theme park. And to an untrained eye, it just looks like, bits of data. You really can't tell what it is, but you can also simplify that and create trends and graphs and things that then take that information and isolate it to a way that you can find out exactly what kind of thing you're missing in your venue, or what you need to add, or what things aren't getting as high return rates. And really the amount of things you can extract from this data is endless. And you can also create algorithms to dial up and down different experiences and create opportunities for guest flow, traffic moving, if you want to have people focus in a certain area of your venue for a certain period of time. So, those are the trends. I did really quickly want to talk about, what to look at when designing these digital experiences, and maybe some tips and things that we've learned and things that we take into account when we're designing these cool new experiences. So, one thing is, you probably heard the term UX, and maybe you've heard XD, and they are different, right? So UX really is how you interact with the software, and the XD is how do you feel, and what is it really, what is the role playing aspect of it? And really, you kind of have to think of both. You can't think about making just a great interface. You have to think about how people are going to engage with it and in what kind of context. And those are really important things to kind of manage in your own mind whenever you're doing a digital experience. How people are going to engage with it and in what capacity, and even where, when, how. Are other people going to be watching them? Would they be going with a group? Would it be more for a group, or would it be for an individual? Those are all things you have to think about when you're doing experience design. A couple key tenets we like to focus on in our digital experiences are some of these key terms, like frictionless, creating something that has minimal amount of ramp up time to get you into the experience. The hardest thing is to get someone to download an app on their phone and create a profile just to go do one thing. The way you can get around it is if the app is really necessary, or if it's a larger part of the experience where the cost doesn't outweigh the benefit. Really, that's the key. There's some things you can get away with, but you kind of have to weigh your options a little bit. So if installing the app is something that's going to change your entire journey through the experience, then maybe it is worth it. But if it's just to engage with one touch point, it's maybe a harder sell. Going back to the virtual reality example I had earlier, friction can also be how long I have to wait to do a virtual reality experience. Friction can be, queue line, the things that deter you from enjoying that experience, capacity being one of them. And then on the flip side of that, frictionless can also be how frictionless the interaction is between you and the technology. So, let's say you do have an app, and when you cross the threshold into the park, it already knows. It's like when you go to the airport and you get your boarding passes on your phone. Those nice little things that connect the dots for you create a more seamless, more enjoyable experience. And then on the flip side of that, seemingly the opposite side, you want stickiness in your digital experiences. So stickiness is, once you have them in, is keeping them in and keeping them hooked and keeping them excited and giving them options, giving them choices, giving them something where they want to go back and do it again for a different reason. Those are important things to think about. So that way you're going to get the repeatability factor. And it is important that you can, now that you have digital experiences, you can give people choices and agency in their role. You also want freshness. So, just like we maintain physical environments and update rides and hardware, we want to think of software and digital experiences the same way. We want them to evolve over time. We want to create seasonal overlays the same way that we do with decor. We should look at that for digital experiences as well, and how we can adapt them and modify them, continue to mature them over time. And even as you're collecting that big data, get input back. How long people are spending at these kiosks. Oh, maybe we can tighten it up. Maybe we can make it longer, and help drive some of the adjustment period. But really, you have to think of these as living, breathing entities that need attention and need focus and need to be continued to mature over time. And with that freshness, you can then use that to drive business back to you as an operator. You can use that to entice people. Hey, you see it with a Halloween and all the seasonal events and overlays that they do for parks, how that draws people back to the parks. Well, you can do the same thing with digital experiences without a huge amount of reinvestment in facility and infrastructure. You can just do it with the experience and give them something fresh. And that's something that is taken straight out of games. You look at Fortnite and PUBG, how they have seasons, and they create different looks and styles and things that keep you wanting to come back again and again. Those are things that can and should be brought into our digital experiences. And then inclusiveness is also an important factor, especially when you're going out and you're doing experiences. And this is really for any out-of-home entertainment. People have, there's a lot of diversity, not only in race and ethnicity, but gender, language, nationality, your height, your weight. If somebody's too tall or too wide to do something, you're going to give them a bad experience, and it could affect ultimately how you're viewed outwardly in your reviews, and also your satisfaction and them wanting to return. But now, with the rating system out there, we all are looking at Yelp and Google rating system to see what people are saying about different experiences. And by limiting your experience and not being inclusive, you are going to lose points on these areas. And so while it's great if you can capture everything, you just need to think about them whenever you're creating a digital experience, or any experience for that matter, that you're taking different factors into account. And the more that you can include people that may have felt like they typically don't get included in these things, the more bonus points you're going to get with them. So, and then the last, design filter is really a sense of community. I think one of the things that games has done incredibly well, on the multiplayer and online side, is connect users together, make friends, make connections, and it also becomes a living, breathing entity. So if we can embrace the sense of community into digital experiences and some of that gaming logic, we're going to find a whole new evolution of these games and of these platforms, and create something. I look at even community can spread beyond the digital experience, and the success of parks like Disney or Halloween Horror Nights, how community is formed around these experiences. And because of that, you see incredible growth and incredible draw to that. So community can be really powerful in your experience design, and giving people an opportunity. If you look at the internet really grew and matured incredibly fast because of different communities and AIM and ways to connect with people. The more we can do that, the more successful we're going to be. And I think if you look at Digital Orlando as a digital experience of its own, this whole event, the sense of community here is such an important factor to what we're doing here at this event. And so you want to try and pull in as many of these outside elements as you can, and give people the freedom to express their personality, tell their story, connect with people. And if you can do that, then you're creating a whole new ecosystem that will kind of live on its own, which is incredibly powerful. So that's it. That's my presentation. I've run out of time, and I'm going to check back with the chat here and see what everyone's saying, or if I've been cut off. It looks like I'm still on. Okay. So thank you guys. I appreciate you dealing with the technical difficulties on my end. And hopefully there was some good information here. I will check. I'm not going to scroll all the way up, but are there any questions before I jump off here? Well, you guys are all very welcome. I'm happy to be here and honored that David invited me. And thank you, David, for putting on this incredible event. I did some of the networking yesterday. I'll probably jump on again today and find out some more about what's going on with everybody in Orlando. For those of you that want to reach me, I'm going to pull this back up again. This is my handle. You can find me on pretty much most social media, LinkedIn. You can also follow Falcon's Creative Group at Falcon CG. You can go to our website at Falcon's Creative Group. We have a podcast as well. If you guys are really interested about anything I've talked about here, you can probably find a lot more by kind of exploring further on your own in the web. So again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And hope you all have an awesome digital Orlando. Thank you, everybody. Take care.